This sermonette starts with a funny little weird story about a broken garage door opener back in Woodstock, Georgia. I was trying to fix a garage door opener. The chain came off the spindle, and you have a motor that turns it, pulls the spindle, which hooks to the door and pulls the thing open. Well, it wouldn't open, so I'm trying to get it to connect up, and what I did, I jammed the chain in, thinking that I would make it just come back on like you would a bicycle chain. I broke it. I started up, whack, it broke. So called a repair person down, and he asked me what happened. And for a couple of seconds, I toyed with, well, the thing just broke. No, I didn't do that. And I thought, no, I'm not going to do that. Let me just tell it straight. I told the repair person I did it. I put it up there. I tried to force the chain. It broke the spindle. And now he's able to work on it, knowing that, okay, this is why it broke, and no tall tales, half-truths, lies, innuendos, and all the other things. You know how we are in the world, right? Right. So it's like, well, okay, now what does that have to do with the sermonette? Well, when you go forward in life, where we live, the world we live in, the word offense is a very interesting word. And in English, the word is more like simply offender, like I'm a crook, I rob a bank, or offend, I hurt somebody's feelings. Those are like the primary meanings that we know in offense. But the Bible version of that word has deep and powerful meaning. The most used words by far, and again, I'm going to stick to the New Testament. It's just too much for a sermonette. Just figure New Testament, offense, offended, what is an offense? Well, the one used by far is scandalizo, used 28 times for offend. It means put a snare or stumbling block in the way, cause to fall away, entice to sin, cause someone to distrust in authority who they should listen to and obey. So it's way past the English word. Offend and offense in the New Testament, a much more powerful word. What it means is to trap somebody. In fact, one of the Greek versions of that word actually means literally like a little trap springer. Like you put your foot in a snare and then you get caught on it. A trap. It's being set up to trip, being set up to fail. That's what offense is, and that is used a number of times. And Christ brought this up many times. Now, I want to get into stumbling, okay? So stumbling, giving wrong impressions, not telling the whole truth, slanting a story, innuendo, all that sort of thing, you know, fogging up the meaning, that confuses people. My little silly example of the garage door opener, think about what happens in the world when a lot of places do that. Think about churches, think about political parties, think about schools, where you kind of get half the story and you're kind of getting tripped up. I'll give you some examples. Mainline Protestant churches used to at least read their Bibles years ago. They kept Sunday, they kept Christmas, they weren't called. Okay, that's fine, but at least they understood the Bible was serious, it was from God. Well, that's not what a number of the mainline Protestant churches are doing now. There are attacks on the family. They're already ordaining people that should not be ministers because of what they do with their marriages. They also teach something called the prosperity gospel. I mean, that's nonsense. It's against what the Bible really teaches. And what does that do? It trips people up. It makes them stumble. A whole generation is growing up with wrong ideas, wrong teachings in the church. Churches, I mean church in general. Let's say America, for example, 50, 60 million Protestants. Now, here's another one. The media. Any of you that are old enough to remember old TV programs, think back to one image of families versus today. And I'll say it in one sentence. Compare Father Knows Best to Homer Simpson. Now, that entire concept is therefore, the family is wrong. The family is a joke. The family is offensive. It's a patriarchy. It's yada, yada, yada. The feminists say that. The radical left say that. What does it do again? Trip. Catches you in a snare. Throws you off balance. About half of America right now, as we go into the fall, is going to be in the Democratic Party. And this is not the Democratic Party of Harry Truman and Jack Kennedy. This is a much different party. It is hostile to church. It is especially hostile to Bible-believing Christians who have these strange, old-fashioned ideas that must be done away with. They are so backward they have got to be gotten rid of when they will legislate against it. Now, whether that happens with this fall's election or we're given a reprieve, we shall see. In my history that I was looking into, I was shocked when I found this one out. We all know who Karl Marx was, the evil system that he perpetrated. He had an assistant. He had a good friend named Engels. That man came from a Calvinist devout family, but he changed into an atheist. There was a liberal theology professor that turned him into to walk away from his religion, and he became an atheist. And being wealthy, he supported Karl Marx the rest of his life. Now think of this. Karl Marx, the communist, the leader and the originator of that evil system called communism, was supported by a wealthy capitalist. How do you like that? Atheistic capitalist, I may add. So that surprised the heck out of me. But here's another way to be tripped up. The basic biology of human beings is being misrepresented. 100 years ago, this would have been unheard of. March of 2022, our Supreme Court nominee was Ketanna Brown Jackson. She was asked in front of Congress, can you define what a woman is? She could not answer. Now, I don't know how much more you can set a trap for society and trip us up. Let's see. How do we defend women from attack by men predators, but we can't define what a woman is? We're being set up. The entire future generation in the future is being set up for a fall because we're being set up to stumble. We're going to trip, we're going to stumble, and we're being set up. Now, I want to go forward with some ideas and just some food for thought. What about us? What are we going to do about this? I'm finding out more and more. The more the media pounds on us, the more important this book is. This is truth. This hasn't changed. Sorry, MSNBC, Washington Post, New York Times, yeah, they'll blow with the left-wing breeze. Not this. God says he changes not. So being back in the Bible is one of our greatest defenses because we won't get put in that snare. Now, here's another one. Within the church, we've got to hold on to the truth when we talk to each other. Can you imagine if I walked in here and said, it's okay to keep Halloween? Of course, that's insane. But what happens, and that would be causing division in the church. That's another time that word scandalismos is used, as in tripping people up, causing division. False doctrine is division. Now let's go a little further. Okay, let's say I'm preaching something and I go out and I rob a bank. What's that? Hypocrisy. What if I'm an example and I preach one thing and I go out and steal? You have pastors right now in different churches, unfortunately the Catholic Church too, and unfortunately Protestant churches too. We cannot be hypocritical, but hypocrisy out there is a way to make people stumble, and they stumble hard on that. And I'll go a little further on this. when we talk and describe a story, when we talk about a doctrine, when we talk about our lives, we have to be sincere, because we can't give half-truths, tall tales, innuendos, and all the other weird talkings that people in the world like to play, like the quote-unquote used car salesman. You know, they're out to rob us. I'm worried about the politics of today. In fact, I dread this fall's election, and I'll tell you why. I watched, how many of you watched the presidential debates? Okay. Now, it's obvious, we know what the Bible says. We know what, let's say, the radical left already has in store for this country. When they can't even know the difference in what's sex and gender, what's marriage, okay. We already know that's bad. So that already was making people trip up. But what about the other side? I felt very sad inside when I heard statements made by Donald Trump that really were not accurate. A statement like about how bringing the immigrants in causes how you break Medicare. I'm thinking, that's not the issue. You bring in lawmakers, that brings other problems. Yes, but that's not Medicare. Medicare is a different health system for mostly older people. When you have inaccurate statements like that, it throws you off. And there were things that he said that I was very sad at, because it's like we're not seeing the true picture. And it bugged the heck out of me. It really did. I'm just kind of thinking, what happens when politics just kind of sinks into this name-calling, half-truths, innuendos, and all the other things thrown around? You don't see the real picture. You don't really see what's going on. So I was very sad at that. And I mean, one last thing about the debates and all. Both President Trump and President Biden, when they were in their offices, they did not take the Supreme Court justices and lock them up in a cellar. They did not order a military coup. They did not outlaw Congress. They didn't do all the things that would end democracy. But yet they're being accused of ending democracy. And I'm thinking, what is this? Again, let's get down to what's really happening. Anyway, let's go forward now, and I'd like to finish this with one scripture. Let's turn to 1 Corinthians 8. Whatever is around us in society that misleads us, that trips us up, we've got to see past that. And in 1 Corinthians 8, Paul is telling all of us, he said, "Therefore, if meat makes my brother to offend, I'll eat no flesh while the world stands, lest I make my brother to offend." Which means truth, looking out for others' feelings, getting to the true story, and being clear in our talking, and not telling tall tales and everything else. Oh, 1 Corinthians 8, verse 13. I'm sorry, my fault, I should have said 13. And that word also is the same one, scandalizo. So to sum it all up, it's not just, the truth is very important, but it's not just truth. It's caring for others and being clear in our speech and our actions and being true. True as a church, true as a member, true in doctrine. And with that, I would say we don't want to get caught in a snare.